Hey, comic book fans, my nerdy friends, and my geeky potters, what's going on? It's early on a Sunday morning, um, but I decided to read a trade while my wife slept, and uh, it's so awesome that I wanted to do a review right now. So, this is Tradin with RWC, Baltimore, the Plague Ships. Okay, so Baltimore is part of the Mignolaverse, and you can see right there, Mike Mignola. I believe. See, no prep done at all. Mike Mignola did the story with Christopher Golden, and the art is by Ben Stenbeck, um, which is magnificent. I love the art. Um, really good, and the story is pretty awesome too. Before I read this, I think I read a two-part miniseries of Baltimore that I wasn't sure I got completely, but this was awesome. Baltimore was pretty much a soldier in the war and lost his leg in a nighttime skirmish. That's kind of skipping ahead in the book, but just to give you an idea. So, you see here, he's got a wooden leg. He's a total badass. He is hunting a vampire named Haggis throughout this book, but you don't see much of him yet. This is only volume 1. I gotta find the rest of them. But we start off in this little town in France where there's vampires all around, and the plague is taking people left and right. And Baltimore is there, like I said, hunting down Haggis. Baltimore befriends this female after a big fight with a bunch of vampires, in which her grandmother is a witch and struck down a vampire blimp with lightning. It sounds ridiculous as I talk about it, but when you read the book, it makes sense. It's awesome. But he befriends this girl, and I would say he befriends the grandmother, but she's completely against him the whole time. But he befriends her, like I said, and ends up getting thrown in jail as somebody who needs to be judged by the Inquisition, but the judge is not there, so he's just in jail until the judge comes around. Well, this female kind of frees him because she's well known in the city and has connections, so frees him, and only to she does it only if he agrees to take her with him when he leaves the city to go search for Haggis, which he does reluctantly, and the grandmother warns her that he's cursed, but she doesn't care. She just wants to get out of the town. So she finds a ship that her father used to captain, and the guys on board love her, so Um, they agree to take her and Lord Baltimore um, to a city where Baltimore's heard haggis is going. So, on their journey, he tells her all about his backstory, pretty much, where he was a soldier, got shot in a night skirmish, and huge vampire bats started eating the dead and eating his leg. He sliced one of them in the face, and let me see if I can get this, sorry. Right there, he sliced one of them in the face, who ends up being Haggis, who, like, tells Baltimore that this is now war. That the vampires were content with just eating the dead from the wars, but now Baltimore has caused them to, like, be in war and start to feed on the living. So Baltimore sees this plague and the vampires as his fault. Well, we find out that Baltimore goes home after being mended to find his entire family, aside from his wife, dead from the plague. And while he's healing up at home, doctors come and go, until one night a doctor comes along with a big scar down his face. Baltimore freaks out, jumps up, runs downstairs with his wooden leg and a sword, only to find his wife has been killed down in his own home. And he knows it's Haggis because he sees this bat flying away. So that's pretty much his story, why he's fighting Haggis and why he's going after him, because he killed his wife. So Baltimore and this girl, I forget her name, are sailing, and a storm happens and wrecks the ship, and they end up on an island, which is like a very well-known island where people have wrecked 1,000,000 times. People say it's cursed and haunted. They begin to search about, find wood for a fire, and spend the night. They find a ton of dead people inside ships, and Baltimore starts poking them with a sword to make sure they're dead. Later on in the night, these, like, little fungus pods open up, and this, like, I would say smoke, but it's more like spores, come out and wake the dead, and they're all set upon killing Baltimore and this female. Baltimore sends her inside one of the submarines that have wrecked there, and says he will try to keep them away from her as long as he possibly can, and he doesn't fear death. So the night goes by, and the female comes out and sees Baltimore just standing by himself, surrounded by re-dead people. And says she wants to go back home because he is cursed. We end the book with her back home and him setting out upon his quest to go find Haggis. It was fantastic. I love this book. It's awesome. I see why the Dark Knight loves the Magnolaverse so much. There's really great stories. I gotta find the next volume of this because it was just awesome. So if you get the chance, definitely pick up some Baltimore stuff. It's really good. I'm gonna stay on top of this, I think, as much as I possibly can now. But really great stuff. If you get the chance to read it, do so. And that's it. Have a good one. Bye.